And good morning and welcome to Live from the Heartland at the Heartland Bar, 7006 North Glenwood Avenue. We've got a bartender, and his name is Gil. And we have Reed in the sound box. We have two great guests today, our representative Kelly Cassidy, and a great Hollywood director and neighborhood homeboy, Andy Davis. We got Morgan, getting all up and early. God love Morgan. And we've got on the scene Lonergan Weiss, not texting us from DC or some other Hollywood place for a change. And I'm happy to see my co-host Michael in town. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Kitty.
Oh, good morning, Kitty.
Good to be here in the Heartland.
Where'd you get that hat, Kate?
I should take it off
Yeah,
now.
I would. So we can see your face. You look great.
It's for my Irish face that I have to keep covered.
Oh, no, the sun was burning down on us.
And if you really want to know where I got it in Bonners Ferry, Idaho, because I had forgotten my sun hat.
That'll boost it up on
my
the
Sierra Club.
We sell it on eBay. It'll give you an extra buck or two.
You think so?
We really are live from the Heartland Bar, where you can order breakfast, have coffee, and be with all these other wonderful guests. And so please drop by. As a way of starting just a gorgeous summer weekend here at the end of September.
Yeah, if we don't start, getting bodies in here, we're gonna have to start waiting on tables ourselves. But you can't get breakfast here.
Thanks for revealing all that.
Smell the coffee.
So did you get your walk on the beach this morning?
I barely made it out of bed. I'm in the middle of a move, Tom. I'm crippled. But
Katie's got a new house. She's moving.
But the beach has been lovely this week.
I had an incredible afternoon with the grandson who just, wallowed away the day. Got busier and busier as the afternoon went on. We had a little topless beach going on at one point yesterday afternoon.
Did you say topless?
I did. Those German tourists, they're just used to a more freer way of doing things, but nobody was hassled, and we just kind of went on with life. It was a gorgeous, gorgeous afternoon.
I don't expect you being topless would cause a problem.
I'd have thought you'd have
Actually,
tweeted
my
it
own
out.
topless could cause a big problem.
Send a tweet, get some more people.
And I don't think Kean being topless would cause a problem either.
Probably not.
Yeah.
He would have joined the other kids who were there.
Yeah. Well, speaking of our beach, right now there was a planting like 2 weeks ago of prairie grasses and marm grass at the corner at Pratt and Lake, which needs watering. Okay, that's our job, people. So we've got to water it when the weather is like this because it's just fresh in there. We want it to grab. We want it to do that whole dune building thing. And tomorrow, using the wonderful front yard that we have, Network 49 is throwing a potluck.
A potluck picnic.
A potluck picnic. It's an
I
interesting.
don't know if I've been to one of those.
Tomorrow's your first chance then.
Yeah.
From 2 to
I'm
4
the
p.m.
greeter.
2 to 4 p.m. Michael will greet you at Lunt and the Lake, and we'll be eating, enjoying the incredible weather, our incredible front yard, and talking politics like usual. Or not like usual, like new.
I hope it's new and refreshing and uplifting.
Yes.
And inspiring, and we move on to the resistance, right?
Right on. Because aren't we glad that number 45 has joined the blackout of NFL?
I think it's one of the best things he's done so far in this administration.
Honest to God, yeah. Thank you for honoring the people who are protesting police brutality by boycotting the NFL. Oh,
He's actually boycotting the owners he's calling for boycott unless they fire people like Kaepernick. He did not use his name, but he did call them sons of bitches.
Can't somebody give that guy something to do?
For protesting against police injustice when they kneel down at the national anthem. And the blowback is big. I mean, all kind of hotshot athletes are coming out, tweeting right back at him. I think that he has fanned the flames. And he also rescinded the invitation to the San Francisco Warriors, the Golden State Warriors, who are the NBA champions. And I think because some of them weren't going to come and some of them wanted to be critical of him, he pulled the invitation.
And on top of all that, NFL viewership is down again.
Oh, sure it is.
I know, and I got to say, as much as I love watching those games, I've had no problem not watching them.
Yeah, no, it's...
Lots of other stuff to do on Saturdays and Sundays.
45 might try and secede California from the Union. I bet he'll try to do that before it's over. Let's watch it.
Are they going to secede, or he's going to
Let's
kick
ask
them
our
out?
listeners to say, what is the most, just come up with the most outrageous things that you think the current resident might do. That's mine for today. I
Well,
think
he
it's,
might lead some ice raids. You got any idea what we're going to do about that?
well, that's pretty serious.
Well, there's rumors again, and I've gotten them through Facebook and email from as far away as Seattle, and folks in the little village. And I don't want to be rumor mongering here, but people in Rogers Park are ready, should anything happen, and to protect our neighbors.
Yep.
Protect RP network is all set to go, and we'll see. Because I think with the travel ban ending in a couple weeks, there's going to be yet a newly written travel ban that's going to go into place, and we'll see what that one is all about. But the DACA thing also is right around the corner. If people want to sign up again, they have until October 5th.
Right, October 5th. Sign up again, dreamers. We got your backs. We really do. Guess what? One of the other problems with, one of the other things that we have to continually resist is this Trump care that's back again for yet another shot. I'm very happy John McCain announced he will not vote for it. I think my phone call did that.
I'm sure it did.
I left a message on his phone, thanks to Margot Boyer, who put this on Facebook.
Old friend living out west.
She said, this is all I said. I said, I wish you good health, and I'd like you to wish the American people good health by saying no to this travesty of a bill. And I'm sorry your name is on it, Cal.
The interesting thing to me is the underreporting of a truly bipartisan effort to fix the Affordable Care Act that got snuffed out by Ryan and others this past week.
Al Franken did talk about it on Seth Meyer.
Excellent.
Really well.
Well, for the
did
16
whole
people
thing.
listening to Seth Meyer and at that hour of the night.
Oh no, I think it was
probably a
Jimmy
few
Kimmel.
more.
It was Jimmy Kimmel.
Well, that's a few more. Jimmy is certainly getting an audience on this.
I'm a little cautious about the word fix because it might mean compromise. So, I mean, I'm glad that they're working together. It's going to be, we will have some kind of Obama.
Well, the major
Michael,
reason...
is compromise a bad word to you now?
It depends how far we go. I mean, obviously we have to compromise. This is politics. I understand that.
Thank you.
I understand that. But we really want more health care for the masses than a limiting of it.
We do, but the whole reason McCain came out against this is the lack of any process. This was all done in secret, and it's the worst possible bill they could draft.
Well, I totally agree with that. I'm just working off the word fix. Just caught my attention.
Well, there are some things on this 7-8-year-old Obamacare thing that could be fixed and probably won't be fixed unless there's some kind of bipartisanship. So I think that's something which we haven't had much of, but we really, yeah.
I want to shout out to remember, I think we did this, but Pat Hill, who was an incredibly brave African American Patrol Association president for a long time after Renault Robinson, following in the incredible leadership of Renault, being the voice for black police officers in Chicago, which was never ever easy. She was one of the bravest women I know, and of course passed early, like a lot of African Americans in America do. I'm not sure if there's a memorial that we can announce or no.
There's an excellent story in the Reader by Ben Jarafsky from last week, and memorial services had not been set at that point.
Okay.
But to me, reading her history, what was amazing was how often she was also in court for civilians who were up against or pursuing police brutality.
Right.
So all the stuff we're working on now to try to reform the department after McClellan McDonald, she was about for most of her police career. And I can only imagine as a woman, as a black person, what that must have been like going up against that system.
Yeah, very brave. Bless you, Pat Hill, and the beyond. Who's watching the Ken Burns series on Vietnam? Ken Burns and two other women whose names are not as well known.
I've been watching it a little bit. I was a little resistant, having seen some critiques of it ahead of time.
I love those ahead of time critiques.
Yeah, well, the people had seen it, but they were a little critical of how they portray the anti-war movement, the resistance within the military. So even though while I set it out, my lovely wife Paige was very insistent she was watching it, and I like to watch the last few games of the White Sox as the team gets better. Yeah, but I did use that clicker to go back and forth, and I did watch some whole episodes. And, you know, while you could find things to criticize, for me, the information about the internal dynamics of the National Liberation Front and Le Duan versus Ho Chi Minh, etc.,
Right.
stuff I didn't really know or hadn't remember. It brought back lots of memories.
It's
Both good and
incredible.
bad.
It's incredible what washes over me watching it. It is like going back in time and re-feeling a bit of what we felt back then, but also a new feeling of, you know, hearing this at this age and realizing what have we learned as a country from this.
Clearly, we just keep stepping on our feet, shooting ourselves in the foot.
All I think we've learned, I think the power holders have learned is do not allow the media close to the action because they will tell you what's going on, as they did us.
Well, they kept them out of the Iraq War a lot
Of course
more.
they did, and Afghanistan and everything since.
And don't try to draft rich white boys.
And don't try and draft the middle class. Don't draft, period. So it's sad, but I think everybody should watch it because it is a learning, it's pretty well put together.
So I've only been able to take this in 15, 20-minute segments because I get too angry and sad. And there's enough of that going on in present life for me to have to take on more. But I'm saying that, I think, from perhaps some position of privilege that, you know, I can turn it off because of how I lived it back then. And so I do bring myself back to trying to watch other parts of it just so I can speak with a little more authority about what got covered and not covered. But I think my greatest concern, even with what I've already seen, is a far more technical journalism question around equivalency, or you probably heard balanced coverage, telling both sides.
I'm going to wait till I've seen all 10 segments to see
Well, we'll talk about this every week
We
for the
will.
next
We'll
bunch of
continue to
weeks,
talk
I'm
about
sure.
Uptown Tent City was displaced. They are not under the viaduct, which needed repair. They are now kind of unsafely, I think, in a lineup along the parkway in the park. An unsolved issue. And we can find park space, but we can't find a roof over their heads. One last announcement before we get Kelly on, and that is that the Hot House fundraiser for Cuba and Mexico is Sunday, tomorrow, September 24th. What does that small print say, Tom?
That says it's at Alhambra, in the
Alhambra.
guest room at the Alhambra restaurant at 1240 West Randolph.
He did that without glasses, folks. I'm impressed.
It's really small, too,
What
but
time?
if I put it closer, I couldn't see.
What time is a good question. We'll find out and come back to you on that. Hot House, the Hot House has a Facebook page. But yeah, let's raise some money, and I'm just so concerned about Puerto Rico this week. Shall we bring our first guest up?
Yes.
Hey, Kelly, come on up!
And poof, like magic from here.
So how was your summer, young lady? I mean, you got a budget passed for the state, and you got to vote against the school funding bill, and you had a Little League star, and you got married.
And somebody put a ring on it.
Somebody put a ring on it, indeed. The summer was a lot.
Yeah.
You know, we spent a lot of time in session. We had some special session time that was anything but special until we actually pulled off the budget, which I'm thrilled. I don't love the budget, but I love that we finally have one.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about what compromise looks like, and this is very much a compromise. It's not a budget that any progressive would write solo. But what we do have is money flowing to our vendors. The governor has finally agreed to pursue the bonding authority that we gave him for back to bills, which hit a record $16 billion this week. And frankly, the bonding authority doesn't go anywhere near far enough. It's about $6 billion in bonding authority. So that's just going to start the trickle of money going to folks who are owed. You know, his early resistance to bonding was mind-boggling. Given that due to the Prompt Payment Act, when vendors are owed, they get paid really, really high interest. So he was, you know, spending way more money by refusing to bond than he would have or than he will.
Good basic business sense there, right?
Math is hard.
Is that how these equity guys
Who knew
work?
how complicated math could be? Let's just insert that in every sentence, you know. Let's keep Trump alive. Who knew how hard healthcare would be?
Right,
how
just insert thought here, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
Who knew how hard budgeting could be?
But I'm glad that he has begun the process of bonding, because we still hear from human service providers who are struggling to keep their doors open. So I'm hopeful that money will start to flow. We did get a school funding bill. There's a lot to like in it and a whole lot to dislike in it. So we are, we're hopeful that with the new governor we can repeal the so-called scholarship backdoor voucher program. Hopefully even before it gets up and running. It's really poorly written and hopefully impossible to implement.
Well, that's some of the best news I've heard, because it was really embarrassment that we passed this thing that was going to give a lot of more bucks to the charters.
And so the charter piece is a different thing.
Yeah.
And actually, I've done some more research into that piece of it, and there's some question whether it's going to result in more money for charters. The way that, we can get deep in the weeds as we always do, but ultimately it really depends on what you calculate towards that charter money. And because CPS provides a lot of in-kind support, we can monetize that. So that's existing things like buildings and maintenance and things like that. So we can monetize that, and hopefully that won't result in more cash to the charters. And that's what CPS is working on right now. So hopefully that charter piece won't have the impact that and the number that was being quoted was from the charter people who thought they won the lottery.
Yeah, they did.
Kelly, one of the things that surprised me, although I know with the art of compromise I shouldn't be surprised at all, but given the ranting of the Tribune libertarians and other folks like that, we still haven't tackled the pension deal, really, other than there's be a property tax increase to cover some unions in Chicago. But by and large, you talked about 16 million in back due bills, added 1 on the beginning,
Right.
and billion, and that's what we owe in pensions, unfunded pensions, 116 billion. I
Once
remember
again,
we were
full of
talking.
good news here.
I remember when we were talking about 90 billion being a crisis.
Right.
So what's going to happen with this?
Well, I mean, ultimately, it depends on who you talk to. The folks who still think we should be taking benefits away believe we need to amend the Constitution so that we can do exactly that and save money that way. Folks like me, who believe a promise made should be a promise kept, believe that we need a progressive income tax and more reforms. There are things that we can do. We don't need these end of career sweeteners that boost people's pensions ridiculously, things like that. The suburban school districts that are able to do those last minute boosts that result in people making more after their pension than they made as a salary. But,
Yeah.
those things, and we've done a lot of that, but there's always more that can be done there. But ultimately, we have to pay for the things we promised to pay for, and in order to do that, we need revenue reform. That looks like corporate tax loophole closures, and that looks like a progressive income tax. That looks like, frankly, doing what you need to do to pay for the things that you've promised.
I think we want to say that you are listening to Live from the Heartland on WLUW 88.7 FM on your radio. You can also stream us live on WLUW.org. Is that it?
Like us on Facebook, please.
Yeah,
We
there
need
you
more
go.
friends there.
There you go.
And we are generally up on our website by Monday or Tuesday with videos of this show.
That's right.
That would be livefromtheheartland.com, and you can also get videos on youtube.com/heartlandmedia, and there are hundreds of these beautiful, wonderful interviews.
And just so you know, our good friend, the woman who started Hot House, Marguerite Horberg, just posted that it is at 5 p.m. tomorrow.
So she's listening in.
Yeah, the benefit for Cuba and Mexico, Sunday tomorrow at Alhambra. All right, back to Kelly Cassidy, state rep of our wondrous neighborhood and beyond. Who has the best chance of beating Ronner? I just heard you say something about another governor, a different governor, which would be welcome.
Absolutely.
Now, if the left would just stop stepping on each other's toes, who do you think has the best chance of beating Ronner's millions?
I am 100% on board with Team Biss.
Team Biss, all right.
I refuse to subscribe to the approach that, we need a billionaire to beat a billionaire. I think that that's the exact opposite of what we need to do. We need a human to beat this guy. We need a human who lives in the real world, whose life experience more closely matches the people that we serve. We need a guy who knows how the legislature works. I mean,
Oh my God, this is why we love Kelly
embarrassment.
Cassidy.
The guy, throughout the summer, I mean, you asked how the summer was. Well, I watched the governor repeatedly show that he has no idea how to do this job.
Exactly.
So the experiment of, give me somebody who's not a politician, we're seeing it play out locally and nationally.
And we're done with this experiment.
Yeah, we're done. We're done. And look, I understand we want change. I think that's all well and good. But my dentist is trained as a dentist. My doctor is trained as a doctor. My hairdresser is trained as a hairdresser.
You have a hairdresser? Never mind.
I was thinking about
How do I get to
it
look
really
so
looks,
good?
you're stepping it up, dude.
Hey,
More and more
I want a
mainstream. You
hairdresser.
running for something else?
Go Eric Daly at the shop. You're getting a little love on my hair. I am running for re-election, which is one of those questions.
It's about time you fixed up your hair.
There you go. It's kind of amazing that it actually has to be said, since so many people are quitting. We're dropping like flies. I was joking the other day. It's going to be me and Speaker Madigan in a room looking at each other, blinking and going, "Now what do we do?" Because there's so many people retiring. Almost every day there's another announcement of
Will that
retirement.
be good or bad in terms of who you think would win? Will the Democrats be able to hold the seats of those who resign? Will they pick up any others?
They're going to be some at risk on both sides of the aisle. I think that it'll probably, at best, it'll be a wash. I'm a little worried about some of our seats.
Yeah.
But the bigger thing that I'm even more worried about is, with all the freshmen coming in, how much power leadership will have. A lot of independent voices are walking out the door. And so the freshmen tend to be pretty, beholden isn't the word I really want, but
Malleable.
dependent on leadership. When you don't know where the bathroom is, when you don't know, how to get your bills filed, when you don't really, it's tough when you first start out. And so staff and leadership has a lot of power when you have a lot of new members. And I'm deeply, deeply concerned that, a lot of the work that we did, that frankly is why we have a budget, because people on both sides of the aisle bucked leadership and insisted
Right.
on coming to some compromise. That wouldn't be able to happen
With a bunch of new kids?
with a bunch of new kids.
Wow.
Kelly, as we go into the fall, traditionally there's a veto session of the legislature, but I'm not aware of any particularly hot issues that are up for veto consideration. Are you going to be looking at any kind of new legislation or pushing more stuff on justice reform, cannabis reform? What issues do you see coming down the pike?
So there will be some. He issued a veto yesterday on something that's really important to me. We had a really good compromise, good bipartisan bill. Ann Williams sponsored a geolocation tracking bill,
Right.
To protect we're all sitting here telling everybody where we are. And so Ann Williams worked really hard with some Republican sponsors to create some protections for consumers. He vetoed that, so we'll have to address that. But there will be some new legislation. I'm working with Sheriff Dart on a bill to look at the question of pretrial detention for pregnant detainees. We want to require that there be a hearing to show cause for why a pregnant woman should have to remain in pretrial detention. There should be an obvious risk to the public safety or to others if we're going to decide to hold that woman. We talk about, there really should be a reason why we should make someone's origin story be that they were born in jail.
Exactly.
I'd like to go back to the candidates for governor. Biss was right here on the stage. He was very good. I too have been leaning Biss, or actually more than leaning. I was a little taken back when he cut loose Carlos Rosa over the divest from Israel kind of position. And it has a number of people on the progressive side of things grumbling. Your take on it, and can it be salvaged?
I think that we should look at the Biss Wallace ticket and evaluate Letisa on her merits. We can relitigate the Rosa stuff until, Rauner is governor again. Or we can move forward, get our asses out on the street, pass some petitions, and win this election. And
Ooh.
that's my plan. Letisa is amazing.
What's her whole name?
Letisa Wallace. She's in her third term. She is amazing. She is
From Rockford?
She's from Rockford. She is the one who stood up when Jeannie Ives and Dwight Kay were slut-shaming women who use birth control. Jeannie Ives' rant included the word baby daddy, and Dwight Kay talked about how much promiscuity we have to fund.
These are Republican
legislators, and my light was on. I was ready to get up, and when I saw Letisa get up, and her speech went viral because this is a single mom, a survivor, just as real as they get, and she shut them down. She's going to be amazing.
I want to see that one.
Is the mayor vulnerable?
Well,
Because we come out of the fall elections and bang, 3 months later
we'll be
we
right
have...
back at it. I believe that we are all vulnerable because incumbents aren't very popular. We are just this side of toenail fungus on the popularity scale. Folks who've had some missteps are particularly vulnerable. So yeah, I believe he is.
So who could beat him?
I don't know yet. I don't know, and I haven't really seen anybody stick their head out yet. There's speculation that that's what Lisa's up to. I don't know that I think that's true. Is Chewy going to do it again? Is Dart going to do it? There's a lot of people that folks are speculating about, but nobody's really said, yeah, I want that gig.
Sounds to me like nobody's going to come and get it.
Speaking of Lisa, what's your take on Lisa Madigan resigning from her position as the
Attorney General.
Attorney General?
I am going to take her at face value and believe that just like all of us who put our names out there every couple of years, when it was time to really pull the trigger, she did a gut check and decided it just wasn't for her right now. She's got young kids. This was going to be a brutal race. It's been brutal. We all get attacked every day, and I think she just decided it was time. And I'm going to take her at face value.
You don't think she's positioned to run for Durban seat if he retires?
She could have had that 100 times. And again, she's got young kids, so I don't know. I don't see her going to D.C. But I'm not in her head. I am in the head of, a mom of kids, and
It's hard.
it's hard.
Yeah, I know.
I'm dragging my kids to Peoria today, and they are not happy.
I bet.
They should dig it up. They have a good time down there.
There's a nice river there.
You make your home here in the 49th Ward. Do you see any changes in our political leadership here in the ward around the corner?
Well, it sounds like there's going to be a lot of people jumping out, and we can go back to the ways the left breaks down, and might want to pick one and go with it.
Might wanna.
I got a couple quick ones to throw in here. Your take on the soda tax, which seems to be getting a lot of attention, and Preckwinkle is standing firm, and now the rumor is that Mike Madigan is going to go after to protect his suburban legislators and try to get something done in Springfield. What's your sense of the soda tax?
Do you know, when this first started percolating, when we were talking about a soda tax, generally we were talking about it at the state level as well, I was open to it, but the more I listened, the more I mean, first of all, I tend to be pro-revenue, and I don't mind sin taxes. I don't like sin taxes as a source of revenue, though.
Like tobacco and
right,
cigarettes.
exactly.
And
So
probably weed if it ever gets legalized.
Exactly. Well, that's a little bit different because I don't think it's going to have the same effect. Sin taxes, by design, are meant to prevent people from engaging in an activity. And so just as, every time we've passed a cigarette tax as a way to plug a hole in the budget, that money only exists for a year or two before it drops precipitously. And so, if you wanted to talk to me about a soda tax that isn't as regressive as this one, by the way, that was really about a public health approach, I would be open to it. But don't tell me it's going to plug a hole in the budget, because it's just going to bust a bigger one later. But the more I research this and talk to my colleagues, again, this is another one of those places where this has a disparate impact on poor communities and communities of color, where you only have the little corner store that's going to sell fake juice, that's going to be sugary,
And
not
as
real juice.
Greenwich talked about you being the next Tammy Baldwin.
And for those of you who don't know, Tammy Baldwin is our senator to the north in Wisconsin, who is also a wonderful activist gay woman.
Kelly is destined to be a public servant, and I heartily support her candidacy.
This
So
from
what-
her now wife.
So what happened between the last...
5 years
years.
later.
Well, Candace
She
and
really won you over with that.
Totally, that was it. That was the moment right there. Candace and I have been friends for 22 years, and both secretly had feelings for each other that most of that time.
You heard it here first.
Romance here on Live from the Heartland. You heard it.
And we were never single at the same time, and about a year ago we were. And our mutual friend out in Wyoming, she pushed us together, frankly. She's the one who figured it out. She got both of us to confess to her how we felt, and then she pushed us together. And so we were married at our friend Jan's house in Wyoming this summer.
That's the Wyoming connection, which was
And
going to
then,
be my...
have you met your brother-in-law?
I have not yet met Brother Newt.
Old Newt?
So do you have a favorite hideaway when you just really need to get away
Won't be
from...
secret.
Won't be hiding if she tells you.
Well, it's not a hideaway. It's not a secret space. I love going. I love taking my kayak down to the end of my block and just getting out into the lake. It's pretty magical to experience our city from the other view.
Yeah, it is.
And just paddle around, and I don't do it for fitness, although maybe I should. I do it for fun and relaxation and joy, and just being able to be, like I said, looking at my city from the other view. It's wonderful.
Let it be said that joy is a good reason for doing things.
Absolutely.
One of the best, actually.
Right.
And if you all want to
Yes.
be joyous, come right on over to 7006 North Glenwood, and we are here broadcasting live as we are every Saturday morning.
And this is delicious coffee. And I have petitions here if you'd like to sign them and help me
Yes.
get on the ballot.
I was just
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
say, come over and sign Kelly's petitions right here at the Heartland Bar. Kelly, I can't tell you, it is a pleasure being represented by you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
It's a rare gift to get to represent an area like this. I talk to colleagues who have to make compromises that hurt their hearts.
Uh-huh.
And I get to live my values, represent my values, and unapologetically represent a really thoughtful community, and it's pretty damn awesome.
Amen, sister.
Thank you so
Let's
much,
hear it for
Kelly.
Kelly Cassidy. And I want to let the audience know that we put this table up here so it would be a community table so you could get closer to the action, so feel free to occupy that and not be so far away, Suzanne. Huh? Occupy that table, yeah.
You're listening to Live from the Heartland on WLUW 88.7 FM. We're going to have a little musical interlude now as we bring up our next guest. Take it away, Nolan.